Aloha, everyone. Welcome to Open Source Stories, Season 1, Episode 7. This is our season finale. I cannot believe we're here, but we are here, and it's been a great season. We've done so far 6 awesome episodes, this being 7. My name is Cap. I'm the head of developer community at Vercel, and I run the open source program. My team runs the open source program. And so the people who are in our program, we invite to open source stories to talk about their project and what they're building and how the program has impacted their project. So let's just do a real quick recap of who we've had on the open source stories. So episode 1 was Ryan Vogel, who has built Inbound. Dan Stepanov and Mark Lawler were episode 2, who built Native Wind. Francois Best built Nux, was episode 3. OrcDev, who built 8-Bit CN, was episode 4. Saurabh Rai, Resume Matcher. Ellie Steinbach for Inbox Zero. And then episode 7 today is Lewis Carhart, who has built Comp AI, and I will let him speak more on Comp AI. So let's bring Lewis to the stage.
Hey everyone, hey Cap, it's good to see you.
Hey Lewis, where are you calling in from?
New York City. Yeah,
New York City.
Best place to be. Sorry if you guys are from SF. I know you guys love it, but I think New York's the place to be right now. Yeah.
Well, we're in both places. We have an office in SF and New York, so
Let's go.
We understand. I'm actually based in Denver, so I'm kind of like right in the middle of those two. So it's easy for me to get to both.
Yeah. Well, New York's easy for me to get to because I'm from the UK, so I fly in a lot. And yeah, just I remember the first time I flew out to SF, it was like an 11-hour flight. New York's like 7, so it's much easier for me to get to.
Yeah. I always, because I've never lived on the East Coast, but I always forget how easy that flight is to Europe. Because I've always lived on the West Coast, and I'm from Hawaii, so like that was like, oh, that's an easy flight. That's Europe to the East Coast is Hawaii to the West Coast.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I flew from the first time I went to SF. I'll go into the story later, but I ended up flying from SF to New York, and in my head, it was the first time I'd been to the US, and I was like, oh, it's going to be like a 2-hour flight, something like that. Yeah. It was like the same time it took me to get from London to New York in the first place. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Well, we're glad to have you on our season finale of season 1, Open Source Stories. If you can do a quick intro of yourself and the project that you have built, the open source project you've built.
Absolutely. So, hey everyone, I'm Lewis. I'm one of the founders of Comp AI, known as Lewis Builds AI on X. A bit about me. I mean, I started yapping on X very early on in 2023. I started building some really cool apps. I was doing like one of those, one app every month kind of things. And yeah, I came across a startup called Leap AI. I ended up messaging the founder, Claudio, to see if they wanted to sponsor something that I was working on at the time. They ended up messaging me and saying, hey, actually, instead of building this thing that you're working on, how about you come and help build Leap with us? And that's kind of when I got my break into what I'm doing now, building startups, having a load of fun. So yeah, I ended up flying to SF a couple of days later. Met some really cool people, and yeah, been here pretty much ever since.
So cool. And you've built Comp AI, which is an open source like compliance platform. Can you tell us more about Comp AI?
It's the most interesting space to be in right now. So compliance, everybody has probably come across it at some point. Essentially, the idea was to make getting compliant with different like regulatory frameworks, cybersecurity frameworks like SOC 2, ISO, HIPAA, GDPR, all of these fun things that you probably heard of. And basically make it easier for people to go through the process. So as probably everyone knows, every founder pretty much cringes at the idea of getting compliant with these things. So for us, we wanted to make it kind of like seamless. And yeah, the idea was just try and make it as easy as possible for anybody to get compliant with all the different things that they need to be. And yeah, I think we have an X account which has been blowing up recently called Compliant VC, which probably a lot of people in the audience have come across over the last couple of weeks. It's an amazing thing that we kind of just latched onto. And yeah, I think people, it resonates with people. Getting compliant isn't fun, and that's what we do. Try and make it more fun.
Yeah, that's cool. And it's been open source the entire time, correct?
Yes, yeah, we actually started Comp AI, I think it was December 2024. So, less than a year now. But yeah, I remember when I was kind of like creating the repo, just clicking public instead of private. There's a great story behind why, but yeah, I remember just doing it and going from there.
So I do want to hear why. I'm sure we're all like really excited to know why. But can we go through the landing page? Can you share your screen and show us where people land for Comp AI?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me share it right now. So yeah, this is the Comp AI landing page. As you can see, we have like the nice badges that everyone wants to put on their website.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward, right? We have built a platform that uses AI to handle the compliance process for you. So, with us, you don't have to spend a huge amount of time, creating policies, coming up with risk registers, doing vendor assessments manually. All of those things are things of the past, and we let AI handle that whole process for you. The other cool thing that we've done is, I shared this with Guillermo recently on X, but we actually have like a vibe code your evidence collection. So instead of having hundreds of integrations that you connect with, you just tell it what you want to collect. Check that SSL is enabled on tricomp.ai, and it will actually create the code to check that it's enabled, and it will pull that evidence in on a daily basis. So Lovable for Compliance is essentially what powers like the evidence collection in the platform.
Yeah. And it says it handles your compliance for you in hours. For people who have not done SOC 2 compliance, how long is the average time it takes?
With the incumbents in the space, 200 plus hours, and that's if you're a pretty small startup with nothing in place. If you're a 40, 50 person company, and it's the first time you're going through it, it can take literally 400, 500 plus hours at the minimum. With
And
us,
oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, with us, it's more like 10 hours.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's crazy. People don't really believe it until they see it. So we
Yeah.
get a lot of people who are, especially customers, right? We go through the process with them. I always do like a 20-minute demo. And at the end of a 20-minute demo, we're like 40 or 50% of the way through of the process. And that's really kind of like where our commercial success has come from, like showing people, hey, this is what you actually need to do to get SOC 2 compliant. Here's me running through it. And, a 20-minute demo, they see the process, they get to X amount of compliant in that call, and they're like, okay, where do I sign? How do I get started?
Yeah. Well, it doesn't like something that's too good to be true, because I feel like SOC 2, like it should always take hundreds of hours because that's just how it's always been. And so to see something that takes 10 hours max maybe is wild. And so I'm sure that these like demos are really nice for people.
The evolution in the space has been crazy. So before like 2018, when some of the bigger platforms, our competitors, kind of like commercialized, it was triple the time that it would take with a platform. So
Yeah.
back in the day, it was all like spreadsheet based. You'd have like literal binders of policies and like procedures, processes that you would follow. And then 2018, these big companies come around, build like, so basically make it into a SaaS platform. And that's where the time went from 1,000, 2,000 hours to 400, 500 hours, 200 hours for a startup. And then AI has pretty much changed everything. So with us, we take a fully agentic approach to the whole kind of the platform. So with us, you go through like a 10-minute onboarding. It asks you a load of questions about your company, your processes, what do you do? And it's okay if you don't have anything. And by the end of the onboarding that you've gone through, it's actually spinning up hundreds of agents that go and create all of the policies that you need. It does all the vendor assessments for you. It creates like a risk register for you. And then it's just about collecting the evidence. And that's how we've kind of like nailed the time to getting SOC 2 compliant down.
So good. So this dashboard that you're showing, this is just on the landing page, but this is like the dashboard people would see once they're fully like set up,
Yeah.
correct?
That's it. Yeah. So you get the platform, you'll be able to see kind of like how compliant you are. We obviously support multiple frameworks. So you can choose all the different kind of ones that you want to, the progress that you're in. But then also, people want to see how much like revenue has been influenced by being SOC 2 compliant. So the reason people, get it from us is because they are it affects their deal pipeline, right? Another company has come to them and said, hey, we'd love to buy your product. Are you SOC 2 compliant? Are you doing things in a secure way? And that's when people come to us. They're like, hey, we need to get SOC 2 compliant. Maybe it's a small startup in SF that's just raised, like a pre-seed round, and they've gone to market. They have a load of traction, and they have these enterprise companies or even mid-market companies that are interested in their product. They get hit immediately with the, are you SOC compliant? Are you HIPAA, GDPR, all of these different things. And they come to us, and obviously speed is like an important factor for those types of companies, right? You don't want to be waiting months and months and spending a huge amount of time and even people. You don't want your CTO spending 200 hours on the process, right? If they can spend 10 hours, then it's hugely valuable to them.
Yeah. So before I go back to what you mentioned earlier about open source, the dashboard's very nice. Whoever designed this, it's on point. I really like it.
We put a lot of effort into not just the UX, but the UI as well, right? So the design, the approach we kind of like take with everything is just because, and I think this is interesting. There's a lot of like open source stuff from back in the day, and I'll touch on this later, but. When I was doing the initial kind of research around comp and is there anything else like open source in the space, we did find some stuff, but it was like hugely outdated, like 2010 Bootstrap UI, and we wanted to do like completely the opposite, modern kind of platform which looks good, feels good to use, and that's that goes into everything that we do.
Yeah. Okay, so why did you choose to have it be open source? I want to know the story.
Yeah, you know what? There's two parts to it almost. So pretty much every founder that I know cringes when they hear the words, "Are you SOC 2 compliant?" So that was a hugely motivating factor. As a founder, I've been through the process with the incumbents in the space like so many times, right? If you've ever made like a B2B SaaS company, or if you ever worked for one at an early stage, you just know that getting SOC 2 or any of these like frameworks is like hugely painful, right? It's all paperwork driven, and it's almost like security theater as opposed to real like cybersecurity and really securing your organization. And I basically just knew that with the right team, based on like the previous experience at Leap, building these agentic workflows, that we'd be able to build something that would basically just like blow the world away. And you say, it was just something that I knew needed to be made. I obviously did a lot of research. Is there anything else out there which is like open source? But I just wanted to do it. I guess I wanted to just annoy as many people as possible by just making this platform, which is in an industry with $5-10 billion companies all over the place. Like there's multiple of them, and nothing really out there was kind of like taking them on.
Has it been like rewarding to be open source in this space? Like, have you found that it's like you made the right move?
Absolutely. There's a lot of excitement very early on. We had like a wait list of over 4,000 companies just like waiting for it. The only alternative at the time was these, expensive kind of cloud hosted platforms, which would cost you, $20K. So by coming in and saying, hey, we're making a platform similar to this, but a lot faster, you kind of had like the initial traction. And I remember there was days when our GitHub stars were growing, the waitlist was growing, there's excitement around it. We have a Discord server with 600 people in there, and a lot of them, the majority of them, are like cybersecurity compliance professionals who had never even thought that it would a day would come where there was like an alternative to the platforms that were are big out there right now, and that's what kind of like solidified that it was the right choice. I don't think we would be where we are today without being open source. We built a great community around it, a great product around it. We're able to be very fast with the development side of things. We have people contributing to the project. And, I guess we're a commercial open source platform. So, we have the cloud hosted version of it, and, all of that stuff. It was, I don't want to say like genius, but it was almost like I couldn't figure out like a way it would fail with it being open source.
Speaking of the community, what's been like, and people are contributing to it, and sometimes things get in, like some PRs get approved, sometimes they don't. Has there been like a really weird or like quirky PR that came in from the community that you're like, um, no or yes? Did you merge it in?
There definitely has been. I guess the best way for me to say it without like offending anybody is cybersecurity and compliance is a really funny place. So there's a lot of like very technical people who were like seriously interested in helping build Comp AI out from like the very beginning. And it was almost like clear to me that a lot of cybersecurity and compliance people have these like terms that almost no one really like understands or cares about. And I'm a
Mm,
technical person, right? I helped build the product initially, but I can see it from like the point of view of a non-technical person. And I remember spending like a day with the team where we sat down and went through like every single task that these companies had to go through. And I said to them, we need to remove every technical word in here. Like no one understands what like like a CM logging platform is. Like no one, if you say that, even founders that are building products don't understand what that is. So the idea was to, basically remove anything that was like overly complex or technical very early on, because we're targeting like, mass usage as opposed to 1,000 or 2,000 companies using it. We want every single startup to get SOC 2 compliant. So during that kind of like process, or the idea around that, it kind of makes it hard for people to just kind of like jump in and start contributing to the code. Right? There's been so many PRs that people have done really great work with, but it's not been. It didn't really like satisfy the requirements in terms of, okay, is this going to make it easier for people to use? It's a cool feature, but is it going to overcomplicate the process for a lot of people? And that's something that we've had to kind of like struggle with doing. Basically, we have a lot of like people who are just purely technical and like this is going to speed up the process, but I actually think it would negate a lot of the speed as well, just by having that kind of like functionality in there.
Did you have to remove every acronym? Like, do you have?
Pretty much.
Okay,
If I see them, I tell people to remove them. And
yeah.
most people here would probably say that I'm probably I actually got banned from the code base, so I don't code anymore. I'm not even like I can't push code. I have to like fork it. I have to actually contribute as like an open source contributor would to the
There you go.
platform. So I can't just go in and push my own code. It's probably the best decision we ever made, because I actually went out and started selling it at that point. But if I come across things, I'll make like PRs for, okay, why are we saying this in the platform instead of like the just a normal English word instead of this complicated like acronym for it.
Has any like weird has any like unexpected relationship or friendship come from this? Because I know the open source community is super close and like everyone's building together. So have you seen any like friendships come
It's
out of it?
I mean, for myself personally, yes. I mean, we've raised a couple of $1 million. We have close to, I would say, 200 or more than 200 customers at this point. And we're New York City based, so we have a lot of crazy adventures all the time. I get along really well with my co-founders. And, we're pretty big on the idea that we should be a media company that happens to help companies get SOC 2 compliant in record time. So we have a lot of fun with that. There's the Compliant VC account on X right now, which is kind of blown up. That's being followed by like Mark Andreessen. Palmer Luckey retweeted the account like 2 weeks ago or a week ago. And it's followed that Compliant VC account is followed by like some of the biggest tech accounts in the world, right? We flew to Vegas one time to blow up a car with one of our competitors' logos inside it. I can't remember which one, or it looked pretty much like it. It might have been a llama, purple llama. I can't reference them. I can't say their name. But yeah, that video is coming out soon. Yeah, we have a huge amount of fun. And every single person on the team, especially on the engineering side, has come from contributing to the open source project. So we don't hire like a standard company.
Mhm.
We prioritize people who have actively been interested in and wanted to help contribute to the platform before they knew there was a role for them. And that basically means that every single one of us is like pretty much like a friend. Like we work on the product together. Yes, it's a job. Yes, it's like something that we're all working on. But I think everyone here has like a lot of fun. Being in New York also enables it. We're all very sociable. We all like to go out for team drinks, dinners. Everyone gets here pretty along very, very well.
That's cool. And have you always been building open source, or is this like the first one that you've been working on?
This is the first one for me. So when people say to me, "Why did you open source it?" It's I actually have no good answer. I think it was just something that I'd always wanted to do something open source. I'm not sure if I was like quite confident enough in my ability to share. Like, is my code good enough to be open source? But you know what, I was inspired by Pierre from Cal.com, Pontus from Midday, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do it. And that's why we're here today.
And you started last December,
Yeah.
and it's had a lot of growth since then.
Yeah, growing hugely right now. I think the open source version is used by over 4,000 companies. 4,000 self-hosters. We have a very good amount of customers. We have a really good run rate. Probably the fastest growing compliance platform in the world right now, just based on like usage alone, the amount of platforms using it. Yeah.
And I think you answered this earlier. Are there other compliance, like the tool that you have, are there other open source versions of it? Because I feel like most would not be open source.
Yeah, so when I started Comp, and this is again one of the reasons why it is open source, I did a lot of research. So I was I was trying to find if there was any other open source platforms which would help with the process, or even as alternatives to like the big companies out there. I came across like one thing which I thought was okay-ish, but it had like no AI functionality. The UI was like it was like bootstrappy 2010, 2011 kind of vibes, overly complicated. And that's kind of when I had like the I don't know if I can swear on here, but I was going to say, I had like an moment in my head, and not I couldn't find anything good, and that's when I knew like Comp AI was like actually going to be a thing. I couldn't get it out of my head. So in all honesty, I think I just wanted to like disrupt like a lucrative space. Like there's so many $5-10 billion companies in this space. Nothing was open source other than this one, which is like super old, and there's a reason why no one had ever really heard of it.
Mhm.
And yeah.
And I'm curious because you've had a lot of growth since not even a year, almost a year. What's the official date? Like December what? We're
I actually have no idea. It was around my birthday.
Oh, when's your birthday?
December 17th. It was
Ooh.
around that day somewhere, maybe a couple of days before. And I actually exited a company before that, so I was with Leap for a while. And then I left Leap. I built another product called LinkDR in 2 weeks with my now, I guess, ex-co-founder Ilias. We built that, and I ended up selling that to him. So I was like in this space of like, what do I do? And I was bored. I wanted to code something. And that's when I kind of like opened up GitHub. We incorporated, I think, on the 6th of January this year. That's like when we actually made like the LLC and went through the actual process.
Cool. And how has the growth been like on Vercel? So you're like in the open source program, you're on Vercel. Like, tell me how that's like been with Comp AI.
Yeah, it's been super easy for us, right? The whole team just loves being able to. Well, it's interesting. When I say loves Vercel, I guess we love not dealing with the other people in the space. So just by using Vercel as a product, it means that we don't have to think about where we're deploying, what we're doing, and the whole process is kind of like handled for us. So I mean, it makes our life a lot easier. I guess other than the little bit of downtime from the other week, which that woke me up very quickly. I remember my 8 sleep going offline.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
having to
feel
figure that
like
out.
I feel like 8 sleep is the reason why we all knew about the AWS outage.
Yeah, it was crazy. I remember waking up in like a sweat. My phone's going off, and then got back onto it. But yeah, I mean, like, we're huge fans of us. It makes life so much easier for us. We don't have to worry about. And I come from a DevOps background, by the way. So before Comp, I was responsible for like 150 Kubernetes clusters in different cloud environments, and I didn't even want to think about it. I was like, can I get away with not having to ever think about what I used to work on, which is a lot of that stuff. So it's always been the number one choice for us.
Awesome. And I feel like we live in a web dev age where we have so many tools to make our lives easier so we can focus on our tool. And it's like you don't have to do all the DevOps side of things because we have a tool that handles it for you. We don't have to do the 1,000-hour SOC 2 because now we have a tool that does it for us, you know? So we're kind of in this like really cool age of tech where it's like we have all these tools, let's use them so that we can focus on the thing that we want to build, the tool that we want others to use. So that's really cool. Okay, so I'm coming to the end of my questions. If there are any questions from the chat, let us know. But Lewis, this is season finale. Pressure's on.
Amazing. Yeah.
You
You
gotta
know
do
what?
something
I didn't
big.
know. Yeah. I wish I had a heads up that it was the season finale, but you know what? It is
Well,
what it is. Maybe you
to
told me.
everyone listening, Lewis was supposed to be on not last week, but the week before, and we had to postpone it to this week. So you were the surprise season finale. You were
Amazing.
supposed to go 2 weeks ago. But yeah, cool. It's really great to like have you on. I have one final question that I ask everyone,
Amazing.
and everyone has a different answer. So that's why I really like this question. But I do want to ask you one more question before I ask that, actually. If you weren't in tech, what would you do? What would be your job?
Oh man, that's a great question.
And then I have one more fun one after this. But season finale, I gotta add one more fun one.
You know what? I've never really thought about it. Since I was a kid, I knew this is what I was going to do.
Yeah.
And I think if I had to pick something, I don't know, professional like F1 driver sounds cool to me.
All
Something like
right.
that. Yeah.
That's
I'll
cool.
go with that.
Did you watch the F1 movie with
No,
Brad Pitt?
nope. But I've been to one. I went to Miami
Oh, it's good.
F1 last year, I think it was, with the guys at Elite, with my co-founders. You know,
Fun.
the adventures have been great since I started yapping on X in 2023. So yeah, professional F1 driver. I think I could do it.
I like that. All right. So now the one that I ask everyone, what is your favorite dessert?
Oh man.
It can be something you had this week and you're like, oh, this is my favorite one this week, or one that's been your favorite forever.
If you ask my co-founder Claudio that, he would say nothing because he just eats salads and that's it. He's like a Health Max, Brian Johnson guy.
Salad is his favorite dessert.
Yeah. But for me personally, it would have to be like a tiramisu, something like that. It's just crack after a meal. Tiramisu has like the sweetness, bit of coffee. It's absolutely great. Yeah, that's got to be it. But it's got to be good tiramisu. Shitty tiramisu is bad.
That's a good one. The thing about tiramisu that I really like is you can just have a little bit and it satisfies what you need. Yeah.
Especially if you had a couple of drinks with dinner as well, tiramisu straight at the end of it kind of like brings you down a level. It's like a coffee, but it's a dessert. Can't go wrong.
Yeah. I try and think of one every week. I didn't really have any. I've said in the past like key lime pie because I really love a good key lime pie.
I don't think I've ever had one.
I just had a lemon poppy seed muffin, like a little mini one. I really like those. So I'm gonna say lemon poppy seed muffin is mine right now.
Amazing. I don't eat healthy stuff. Poppy seed, it sounds like healthy to me. So yeah.
It's not.
I'm not sure about it.
Yeah, it's not. It's a muffin. It's a sweet muffin.
Fair.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Lewis, thank you so much for sitting down and talking with me about Comp AI.
Anytime.
Thanks everyone in the chat for hanging out, and we will come back for season 2 at the beginning of next year. So January, keep an eye out for it. We will let you all know when we're back. But another thing in the open source program, some news, is we are deciding and sending out emails to our fall cohort. So we have our spring and our summer cohorts. Lewis, which one are you in?
I think spring.
Spring, yeah. You've been in the program for a while.
Yeah.
So we have spring and summer cohorts going, and once you're in for a year. So it's like, yeah.
I would recommend it.
Yeah. Do you recommend it, Lewis?
Absolutely. It's 10 out of 10.
What's your favorite thing about the program?
I love the Slack channel. Just being able to be in the channel, the community with so many cool founders. Yeah, love it.
Yeah, so there's a Slack channel that once you're in the program, everyone just doesn't matter the cohort, every cohort is in there. So right now we're at like 52 open source builders in this Slack channel. So the new cohort, so Lewis, you'll see the new cohort coming in, and that's where just like really cool conversations come. If you're building open source, I highly recommend this program. A lot of really fun relationships build from this. So with that being said, we will be announcing the fall cohort very soon. Everyone keep an eye out. And then the winter cohort opens up January for applications. Lewis, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for hanging out, and
Thank you,
we
Kat.
will see you around online. Thanks everyone.